Call the meeting to order.
Jenkins.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Vaughn.
Here.
Westerling.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The very first thing that we have, the very next thing that we have on this evening's agenda is a presentation by John Carter. Sir, you have the floor, and feel free to introduce yourself to the audience, to the camera, and of course to the City Council.
Okay. Where would you like me to stay?
Right here would be great. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Thank you.
All right. My name is John Carter, and I'm the current Chief of Police in Monticello. And a few months ago, Scott Testori came to me and asked if we could talk about how the police department works. He told me at that time, he said he wasn't aware of the police processes, how things work, and he wanted to make sure that he provided the proper support for the police department here in Farmer City. So I said, come on down, and we spent a good portion of the afternoon together, walked through everything we do down there, and how we operate in Monticello. And then a few weeks ago, he contacted me to share some frustrations in finding somebody who would come out and maybe help look at the process here as well, if you would, kind of an audit of the police department to see if it's functioning the same as other police departments in other areas. I told him, I said I'd be willing to come out and help you if that's what the City Council and the Mayor decides that they would like to do. So my purpose of coming here today is not to point blame and say, you guys did well, they did well, anything like that. My main purpose is to help the community leaders work with the police department to address any mutual concerns, identify solutions, and ensure the community and officer safety for this community. I supplied a list of information that I'd be specifically looking at. What that is a list of, if you decided to become, it's ILEAP certified, which is the Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. If you decided to do that, this is the first process you'd have to go through to become certified with ILEAP. I do have a binder, if I can leave that with you. You can look at it at your leisure. It's got all the information that you'd have to do and the application form for ILEAP. So that's what I have, and I will remain here for any questions that you may have later.
Very good. Are there any questions at this time? Mr. Carter, understanding that this may also come up in non-agenda items and other business? No questions at this time? All right, very good. We do have one public comment this evening, and Chris, you have the floor.
Hi, Chris Knox. I'm here to basically talk. I know you guys are looking at putting a park out in my subdivision. That's kind of excited about that. But I encourage you guys to really look at the swamp land we have out there and make sure that you do it together. I know when I talked to my neighbors, I haven't been to the meetings, but they said there's some controversy over exactly where it's going in terms of high land, low land out there. And I know Larry said that we couldn't get any work done in the swamp lands until wintertime. And I'm just a little bit concerned about waiting to winter to take care of that problem. I know you've been out there, Scott, and talked about spraying it, maintaining it a little bit, knocking down the cattails. But I guess one of my things is don't send a boy to do a man's job. So maybe we need to look at doing a private contractor and bid it out to have somebody come in there with some bigger equipment to actually get it trained instead of going in there with a little bobcat. Because we had another winter like last winter, and if you go back and you look at the archives of the temperature, we had about 10 days where they did not get above freezing. And so if that's not enough to freeze the ground to get in there and work at it, then I don't know if we can rely on waiting to get a solid winter to get in there and do some work. So I encourage you guys to maybe think about maybe we need to do a contractor, get somebody in there, bid it out, get some bigger equipment, maybe a bobcat in, I mean not a bobcat, but a backhoe in there that can reach out, dig a hole, drain into the hole, worry about the other land. I know Larry talked about hauling, he said he can get some dirt hauled in there. It's going to take a lot of dirt to fill that up. I don't know if any of you council members have been out there to look at it, besides Scott, have you? Have you been out there?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So you can see that in that whole area, especially after the rain we had, where the water's sitting, there's several lowlands out there. And if you walk through that area, you're sinking already. So the whole area is wet. So I know it's a detention pond where it's supposed to drain out, but I encourage you to kind of look at all that stuff. I also heard, and I don't know if this is true, but you guys are talking about putting a sidewalk in right next to the doctor's office over a utility easement. Is that true? I don't know.
Asking me a question?
Yeah.
There will be a sidewalk put back there.
Is it right through the, is it over the utility easement?
That is correct.
So I didn't know if you could put a sidewalk in. I don't know if that's a smart thing to do, to put a sidewalk over the utility easement. Because if you ever have to have work in there, you're gonna have to rip up the sidewalk, so.
That's exactly what you do when you have confined spaces, so.
Okay. Well, I just encourage you to look at that as well. So, a lot of things out there. I do know
In a
you,
perfect world, you wouldn't do that.
I know.
So that out there is not perfect.
No, by any means, not perfect.
No.
I do know you guys did connect the water up to get that little circulation. That's been done. So I don't know where you guys are, if you're gonna go out there and level that dirt out. I know I had some neighbors say that if I got up here and spoke again, to say, hey, you guys got a 3-foot wall back there of clay. And
I
so-
think our city guys talked to those neighbors, but maybe they didn't.
Okay. So I don't know if that's going to be taken care of, but that's kind of what I encourage you guys to discuss sometime, about maybe getting out there and looking at a private contractor to do what the city can't do right now, which is get in there and get rid of that water problem. Because if you put a park in there now with that water in there, to me it's just a health hazard waiting to go happen. I mean, with all the ticks and stuff we have going out there, it's just, I think you're just going to get in a problem. So just something to think about. I don't know if I have anything else, but thank you.
Very good, thank you, sir. The next item on this evening's agenda is the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Go ahead and call.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Harden?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Motion carried.
There being no unfinished business, we move to section 3, new business.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2016-23, enter into an agreement with Game Time for playground equipment at Prairie Ridge.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Do we want to enter into that agreement before we know what's going on?
Is that the only bid we have on that?
Yes.
I think we should get a couple more bids on it. If I recall, something over $26,000 requires more than one bid.
There was an established agreement for the other two parks where you did not have to allow it for bid.
Can I speak to that? I'm here for Game Time.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am.
So you'd be purchasing through a program called U.S. Communities. It's the way you did your other two parks. And it does satisfy your bid obligation. You also get this pre-negotiated discount on the purchase. So you're not buying at list. You are purchasing through that program. It's something you've already signed up for and you've used in the past, and that does satisfy the bid obligation.
And can I also throw out that this area will be built up. Now, you can haul dirt in there. That's not necessarily the way to go, because then there's going to be an argument about you put too much dirt in there, you didn't put enough dirt. But you're going to build this area up anyway with the wood chips, the base that you have. So it's not going to be at the elevation. If you did go out there, you saw it. It could go up anywhere from, it could go up 9 inches,
Yes.
possibly. So you're talking about raising it quite a bit from what you saw when you were out there. Now, I went out there on 2 different occasions. We had, after the last council meeting, we had 1.1 rain, and I walked out there, and there was 1 wet spot. I went back out there, I think 2-3 days later, we had another inch rain. That same 1 spot was wet. We're talking a large area. We're not talking about you enter into this agreement that we're necessarily going to put this playground equipment in tomorrow. I would wait until August, but that doesn't mean that we can't go ahead and enter into the agreement. The detention basin, we have a plan to fix the detention basin. I think we need to rely on our engineers on that plan. Not necessarily go out there and think that we can dig a hole or move dirt this way or move dirt that way. I think that that's why we paid Farnsworth Group to go out there and take a look at it and come up with this idea of putting the drainage tile in there and the concrete swale. So, but that is your decision, gentlemen, on how you want
This
to
spot
handle it.
we're talking about is west of the doctor's office, where we have a little dip,
Yes.
okay, and it's going to be in that corner. That is going to be the northeast corner of that area that we own.
Correct.
And the proposal that we created does include an entire drainage system throughout the playground area, so that water will have an easy way to get to whatever you establish as the escape route for the water in the area.
And the tall area, Mac, the tall area out there is truly the detention basin, not this area where we have mowed.
And it's right west of the doctor's office.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
I agree with Mr. Knox, though. If we don't get a good winter, we're going to back this detention repair up another year. And so there's got to be a way to go out there and handle that.
How big, what's the area on this playground?
Layout, you guys have a larger rendering, but this is the dimensions. It's a total of about 92 by about 52.
Okay, so we're not talking 300 by 300.
No.
In this area that,
And I did, that was passed out to you guys at the last meeting, just so you're...
I didn't know what the dimension.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
didn't look
fine,
at it.
that's fine,
So we're talking 100 foot by 50 foot.
approximately.
And then this area is going from east to west, and this is, so we're going 100 foot east and west and 50 foot south.
You could put it, I would
Either
say, the correct, 50 wide, 100 north-south.
This particular area, if it's what I'm looking at, did not seem to be too wet. It was quite a ways from the pit, whatever you call it.
And I did go out there because I honestly, if I was going to be out there wallering in wet shoes, then I would come back and tell you, but I did not.
And then you're going to have drainage and,
We included a full drainage system underneath the safety surfacing. We did the same thing at the South Park, where you have the inclusive playground. It's an ADA material, but then there's a drainage system underneath to help water get outside of the playground.
Joe, is she right, we don't have to bid this out?
Yes, she's correct.
Okay. If we agree to this, what, can we set a deadline for the drainage repair?
For,
The swamp area?
well, for the detention basin,
Yes. Thank you.
yep, you can.
And you're saying if it doesn't freeze,
If it doesn't freeze, we gotta do something.
And-
You can't just keep stringing this along.
And I've had some conversations about spraying and going out there and seeing if we could get some of that area cut. So I've been talking to Scotts and Seagills and chemicals and stuff, so, you know, we've been having those discussions.
We've got some stuff that we can use.
We're not ignoring that maybe we need to be trying to whittle away so the sun can get down in there and help dry it, so.
Yes, I like that idea. Okay.
any other questions or discussions?
I'm a little confused with this sidewalk on here. Where's this come in at?
We would have a
It's gonna
sidewalk
stay this way.
come off of George Rock
Okay.
and wind back in through there.
So
And
that would be in between the houses and the
doctor's
doctor's
office.
office. Okay,
Yes.
I got you.
And then eventually we would plant some trees. There's not a lot of trees out there in that subdivision. We would plant some trees, we'd get some lighting out there. It's soft LED lighting, nothing overpowering to offend anyone. Sidewalk is not included in that playground price, gentlemen.
Anybody else?
So how much is the sidewalk gonna cost then?
I can't give you a dollar figure, not knowing where anything's going to go, so. had anybody come out there yet.
And this is not going to have the concrete path around it, correct?
No.
Anybody else? Go ahead and call.
Hans,
Yes.
Pardon,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Chesterly,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
motion carries.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2016-24, $10,000 donation to the 2017 Heritage Days Festival.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
My question is, if we approve this, what fund does this come out of? Is this hotel motel?
Has been,
That's what it's come out of in the past.
correct.
At this time, is that amount in the hotel motel?
Right now?
Right now, yeah.
Yes, but then we wouldn't be able to do any other funding for the remainder of the budget year.
I've got concerns about the whole thing. I don't know if you want to go into that, but I would motion to table this until some of this stuff is addressed. I'm so concerned that they're using the city's tax ID number and insurance. And that once we approve this, it's generally free for all. We didn't have a lot of say in this. A lot of the stuff that was put in here that was positive. I can't find articles in the News Gazette where they were interviewed. That's minor. Says the carnival had the vandalism going on. That's a city problem. The Main Street was an issue for me. There's at least 10 items that Aaron brought up where either the city or the department or you personally were thrown under the bus for failures on our part. So I'd like to have this tabled until there's a plan and some of these things are resolved.
Is there a second on the table for discussion on the table?
What are some of the issues? You said you had several things you wanted straightened out. What are?
Yeah, my first concern is whether if this is a city function, then the council of the city should have more control of the committee. There should be more people on the committee, and we should have some appointed people on the committee.
We are appointed.
Sorry?
We are appointed by the city, our committee.
All right. And there's only 5 of you though, and Aaron said that was a struggle for just 5 of you.
And we'd love to have more.
It's an open meeting. It's posted every time there's a meeting.
Let's see. Sidetrack. There was an issue of how much the city services cost. We donated the $10,000, then we provided services on top of that. And by my best recollection, that was $7,000 over the $10,000 we originally donated. That's near.
Scott, this is a city-sponsored event. It's not, a Heritage Days event. This is sponsored by the city,
For the city.
Can't interrupt meetings. If we have any questions, we will, yes, ma'am.
I have a concern about having 2 major headline acts next year. I mean, this was reasonably good, but I don't know we can support 2 acts. I would propose that the money be withheld until the city services are rectified. I haven't seen an accounting of what was spent this year
I gave it to Mike.
versus what Ruth wrote checks for.
Give it to Mike.
All right. Well,
You're recommending that this be tabled.
I'm recommending this be tabled.
Is there a second on the table for discussion purposes?
When do you need your commitment?
As soon as possible. I mean, we have to start booking the bands and, get things in order. This isn't something we can wait, a few months for. We plan and work on this all year. So as soon as we know how much money we're gonna have to raise, because we raised like twice, 3 times as much as you donated. You know, so there's a lot of money to be raised.
Can these issues that you're wanting to deal with, can they be, even if we allocate them the money, can they be dealt with after we allocate it? Is it something that would limit us, cause us not to allocate it?
No, I wouldn't allocate the money until these issues are addressed.
Larry?
And can I throw out there that they're requesting 10,000, you could always amend your resolution and honor that with, say, 50% now, and 50% when you get into your new budget year or whatever, because we've got a lot of other things that'll go on between now and the end of the budget year, and we don't want to wipe this fund out.
That was a concern, how much was in that fund.
And then you could readdress it. So you could change this to whatever you want to change it to, but that's just one thing.
Would that
I just
help
want
the
those-
situation if we did half now and half?
Well, from our end, yes. I know they're not immediately getting 10,000 that they're asking for, but
We can only give we don't want to wipe out that fund.
no, we don't.
And you said there's just about 10,000 in it right now.
Just a little over that.
Why would we wipe out that fund if we know we might need it?
What I'm saying is, if you pass this tonight, then there will be a very low balance in that fund. And it takes a while to build that money up. So then any other organizations that come forward, you might have to tell them no, and their request might be just as worthy as this. So that's why I would suggest to consider half now, and then they can come back, and you can do the other half, or you can word it however.
Would we have to table this ordinance to be able to do that?
No, you just amended, the recommendation to amend it to,
I like that idea.
so there is no second on the table. All right, then I would need a recommendation to amend this to whatever you're going to recommend to amend it to.
Half now.
Is that your recommendation?
I don't feel comfortable wiping out that fund.
What would happen is you would make the recommendation that we amend it to $5,000. I would then ask for a second. If we got the second, we would discuss it at that time.
Well, Matt, why would that fund be wiped out? That's what I'm getting at.
If you did the $10,000, there's around $10,000
In the fund right now.
in the fund right now.
That's what I'm saying. It can sit there. We don't have to spend it just because it's there.
No, and what Larry's saying is if we did spend 10,000, if somebody came in after this, we wouldn't have any money to give them.
If you pass the resolution to give them $10,000, that money is theirs. So it's wiped out. You can't, if somebody comes in and says, I would like 5,000, you can't just,
Which seems to be a good reason to table this until we get this worked out.
I haven't had a second on the table as of yet. Are you making an amendment to this resolution? At
Yes, I'd like to go with
$5,000.
5,000.
Do I have a second on that? We need a second to even discuss it.
I'll second it.
All right, discussion.
Are you amending it to 5,000 only or 5,000?
Well, what would happen is we would, if I'm right, we would vote, we would amend it first, then we would vote on passage of it.
Yes, you're going to need 2 separate votes. One,
You
to
need to-
amend it to 5,
Yep,
and then it's 5, and then to vote whether you're going to pass it or not.
yes.
Well, Mike, according to this, the Heritage Day has had the greatest years they've had in their history. They actually made money. I don't see they need the entire 10,000 or even 5,000. There should be enough money in reserve, having made money, that we can cut back on what we're donating.
Any other discussion?
Gentlemen, then should you pass this 5,000, then they can come back to you later and show you that they need the additional 5. You can look at it that way.
So we would pass the 5,000 with no commitment to 5 more.
If that's how you want
If
to do
you,
it.
if you pass the 5,000, they would have to come back for any additional money, and we would have to discuss.
But we still haven't resolved the layout of the Main Street and the issues that happened with this last one.
No, we haven't. I mean, and that's something that, well, I think
It's
that.
something we need to discuss.
I
I don't know that we want to hold a dollar amount as,
Leverage?
yeah,
I would.
would you disagree?
Can I comment just so we can explain?
You may.
Okay, so if you don't give us the whole amount, we had the other carnival is not coming. So to make this successful, we have to have a carnival. We had 3 carnivals come, 5 interests, some from Kentucky. We had a carnival come and meet with us that was easy to work with, that was willing to put things where we wanted them. And if we don't get it tonight, the contract doesn't get signed tonight.
It's not a point whether we don't want to give you the money. That fund's got $10,000 in it, and I don't want to wipe it out.
I understand.
That's.
So is there a way that we can say, to book a band right now, we pushed everything to the very last minute last year, which was stressful for some of you, Larry, Sandy, us, and that can't happen again because it just isn't feasible for anybody. We have people knocking our doors down right now to come. If we don't have the money to pay them to come, we have to put half down now. So to even put half down, we would have to have about $7,000 right now.
So you're saying is the greatest carnival we've had is not coming back?
No, because of vandalism. So we have other carnivals that have stepped up just as good as them and that come highly recommended. We did research, we visit them, they've come to meet us, and I'm not worried about having a new carnival. It'll be that's fine. And I think it could benefit us. But if we don't get enough money to book the bands, then we're pushing ourselves out again. Because once the band is booked and we know that's done, then we can get SCEF involved for our beer garden, so that's done. The more we can get done now, the less we're cramming in January, February, March, April before. And there was lots of things that none of us knew when we went into this, that it took a couple times of getting it done the correct way because it was something new to all of us. And it is probably draw the biggest crowd of Farmer City ever from everywhere. So I think it's something you should really think about.
I think if we've got concerns on your list or anybody else's, maybe we need to have a meeting with them to get that worked out. I don't see an issue giving them what they need to get their stuff booked because Farmer City has nothing else but this. As you'll see this, there's nothing as far as a carnival and concert and stuff like that.
I want a commitment that the 200th block will not be blocked and the side streets will be open.
Can't do that. Where else are you going to put it?
There's lots of room around this square.
We'll let them discuss.
There was lots of room around this square this last year. There's empty spaces. There was right over here and right over there, and the blocks between them were empty.
So where are you going to put everything in this
And
half
all-
block that's left that's in a full block?
And all the businesses on the 200 block have asked for the block to remain open until the absolute start of the carnival.
Question or statement?
Not right now. Mary, I will call on you though.
So what seems to be the problem blocking the whole 200 block?
The drugstore is one.
I understand that, but they still operated flawless?
There was some ADA things that had to be fixed.
But they got it taken care of, correct?
They did. But the chambers asked that the street not be blocked until Thursday, I think it was. Instead of the entire week.
The new carnival will not set up until Wednesday. That is in our agreement. They have agreed that they won't even come in until Wednesday, so the streets won't be blocked off until after the bars close on Wednesday AM 2, 3. and usually whoever's on duty then, the barricades are there and they can set them up. They usually set them up for us. But we can't leave a 200 block open and put rides there. The rides are all checked before they're operated. So we can't ask them to come in and set up on a Thursday and run on Thursday. It's not feasible. Besides that,
You had something.
that's
Oh, that was, I was gonna say the carnival wasn't gonna come until Wednesday.
the other thing is to get ADA compliant and to have everything covered, they have to get set up and then start covering everything. And if we say, okay, well, you now have 4 hours to get your stuff set up and covered, it's not possible. We want them to be successful. Both of us can be successful when we work together. And if you would like to come to our meeting, we will take a walk down Main Street and we can explain everything to you. And 2 businesses in the 200 block had the best year they've ever had. One of them made more money than they make in a year.
Yeah, I've been able to verify that.
Other discussion with the council right now. You said 7,000 was the minimum?
7,000 would get us to be able to book.
We don't have to spend the 5,000 out of the hotel motel tax. We could split that whatever way we want, correct?
You could.
So we could do 5,000 out of hotel motel, and we could find 2,000 in the budget if necessary. We had a second on the 5,000, so we have to vote that.
No.
Right?
Yes.
So I would also entertain a $7,000 after the fact, but let's vote the 5,000 first, okay? So if you vote yes, you are in favor of amending it to $5,000. You're not voting for the approval at this time. You're voting to amend it to $5,000. Roll call.
Kelly.
No.
Testor.
Voting to amend it to 5,000.
Amend it to 5,000.
Yes.
Jenkins.
No.
Carr. Harden.
No.
So currently we have on the table the resolution for the $10,000. Is there any other motions? Any other amendments to this?
The one you just suggested.
I'm just throw it out there.
5 and 2.
Well, $7,000. Is there a second? Discussion.
Where are you going to find the 2,000 in the budget?
I'm not. Larry is.
Well, the budget's accounted for. We had a tight budget as it is.
Yeah, we have miscellaneous areas and other areas that we can possibly do. If we don't want to support it, then we don't want to support it. We vote it down. I don't like the idea of destroying the hotel motel tax because I don't think it's fair. Although I appreciate your comments that this is the only game in town, but it's not the only game in town. And there are smaller organizations that care and love this community just as much as others, and I want to be able to support that. I am scared that next year, if they ask for $10,000, as much as we're eating this hotel motel tax, we're not going to have that period anyway. So, anyway, is there a second on the 7,000 before we discuss it? You did a second. Okay, we're discussing it right now. So, the answer would be, ultimately, that would be, Larry would have to do that. He would have to find $7,000 in the budget cover. It's going to cost something else. I mean, it is what it is. But this is the part of the budget that you got to do. You're going to prioritize what's important for the community, what's not important for the community. If there's other places that we can cut, we're going to have to cut to make it happen.
So can we take this 5 and 2,000, and then if the hotel motel reaches where we're comfortable, put that back?
No, you would not be able to pull the money out of hotel motel after that. You can't just take that back to replenish your budget in any place. I'm not wrong on that, right?
You're correct.
Okay. So yeah, once it's there, it's gone.
Aside from the carnival, what we're doing is funding a free party.
Yeah, I mean, celebration. I don't know if,
I mean, a lot of communities do the same, and Leroy does, there's a lot of other communities that do.
This was great, this is a big.
I'm gonna say, Scott, I agree that there are a lot of things, and I think that we need to discuss on. I do believe that I wanna have a good working relationship with the committee, and and there were some things that were said that, I don't know if, I think it would have been better placed, elsewhere where we're conversing and trying to grow the relationship instead of the way that it was. But at the same time, this community needs these things that draw us together, these things that bring us together. I thought it was a big party.
We have got a section of the community that does not like the way this is laid out. We've got another section that doesn't want this on Main Street at all. And what I was just told is that there's no compromise. Give them the money, and this is the way it has to be laid out. We went through this last year. There was no compromise.
Yes.
On that, I went to a couple of meetings with Josh, you were with one. We went to a business, and we also went to the chamber. And I encouraged, of course, compromise on both parts. I have to say that I believe, although there's a lot of struggles, it seemed like that everyone was trying to work with each other. But you definitely had some very hard feelings on both sides. I don't think, I'm guessing here, that we're going to find a perfect situation that everybody's happy. I don't believe that that's going to happen.
I think we need to try to come closer than what we are.
I would like a city councilman or someone to be on the committee.
We had one on the committee.
Yeah, I would like to continue that. And they encourage it as well. So you can even have up to 2 on the committee at any time. So I am going to vote in favor of the 7,000. That's just my stance, and I do appreciate where you're coming from. Share some of those same frustrations, because I do want to work with everybody. So anybody else have other thoughts or points of contention?
Since we can appoint people to this committee, we can appoint people past this. We can go to the chamber, to other committees that are concerned, and add them to this committee, work with them. Is that true?
Joe's our committee, correct? So.
Well, I'm sorry, anybody is welcome. Whoever shows up to the meeting has a say. When we vote on something, the vote is concluded.
Joe?
What have you done historically? How many people have you had?
I don't think historically we have. There's not been an official vote on any committee whatsoever. So I mean, but we can set a precedence that
Sure,
we would-
absolutely, and you're right, up to 2, so you don't violate the Open Meetings Act, up to 2 council members. Absolutely.
So we can require, that names be submitted and that we vote on them.
You can,
We can appoint.
you can appoint up to 2 city council members to be on the committee. If you want other people to be on the committee, it sounds like they want that,
Very good.
not the city council members.
Right.
So that's the answer to the question there, correct?
And it's sort of the answer, yeah.
We're going to go ahead and call a roll call. Now, what you're doing is you are giving a yes or no vote to amend it to $7,000. So if you amend it, we still have to vote the actual resolution. So this is just to amend it to $7,000. If you vote no, you're voting down the amendment. If you vote yes, you are voting the amendment in. Go ahead and do the roll call.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Hahn.
Yes.
Harden.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Testori.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Any other discussion on resolution, which is now a $7,000 donation to 2017 Heritage Day Festivals? Roll call.
Was there a motion in a second?
No, yeah, we got,
I didn't hear a motion in a second to pass.
that's right. Once
Or
it's
did
amended,
we do that originally?
we originally
Okay.
did a first and a second
Okay.
for 10,000. Once we've done the amendment, we don't have to do.
You're right, I stand corrected, I forgot that first.
Very good. Yes,
Go slower.
I don't even know where we're at now.
we are now is going to do a roll call on whether or not to approve resolution, the amended resolution of 2016-24 to give $7,000 donation to the 2017 Heritage Days Festival.
Okay.
Roll call. What?
My recollection was 5 of which is out of motor fuel, I'm sorry, 5 of which is out of hotel motel, and the other 2 is out of the general budget.
Yes. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's start with Hahn.
Yes.
Hardin,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Tesserae,
No.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Make a motion to approve executive session, personnel executive session, personnel to discuss employment, employment, compensation, discipline, and/or performance of specific employees pursuant to Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 102/2C1.
I'll second it.
Do you need us to
Roll call.
do a roll call? No, you don't need us to identify anyone here?
No, I think that's sufficient.
Very good. Roll call.
Kelly,
Yes.
Tesserae,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Hahn,
Yes.
Hardin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We are now in open session, and that moves us to the city manager's report.
Gentlemen, I just have a couple of things. The water department, as you know, they put that approximate 400 feet in between Bluebell and Honeysuckle. EPA has returned with a good water sample, so now we need to get the operating permit, then that section can be turned on. And the documents for the George Rock water main, Route 54 water main, all that's been signed. We're just waiting for them to come on back and start on that. As you've seen, the walk ramp out to South Park for the bathhouse is done. And Joel's been out there, he's got the rest of the soffit on. Now it's down to having Phil Schmidt create us a handrail to keep it ADA compliant and getting the electric hooked up, which those guys have been out there trying to get that done in between rain now. It seems like every time that they get ready to go out there, there's rain. We're trying to get a new sign for South Park, or a sign for South Park design. And what we will do when we get this put up, we will incorporate all the different entities that use that. Soccer, BMX, primitive camping, baseball, etc. So we'll make sure that everybody's included. Get a nice sign done. There's a gentleman right here at Farm City that's making signs. There's been an inquiry about a parcel that the city owns on Allen Street. It's at the corner of West and Allen, so it's directly across from the light plant. There's an empty lot there and there's some pine trees. There used to be a house there. City has owned that parcel for several years, and I was asked if the city would be interested in selling that. You don't have to take any decisions tonight, but what we would have to do, we'd have to have an ordinance listed as surplus property, and then put that out there for highest bidder. So I'll bring that to you at the next meeting, and you can either pass that or vote that down.
It's just an empty lot, correct?
It is an empty lot right now. There is some documentation, a legal document, that we cannot build a permanent structure on that lot. That's a long story.
But when you put it up for bid, I'd like to see it put up with a minimum bid, so we're not losing money on it.
And that we can do.
If it's sold, does it go with that? I mean, does the contract go with that says enough permanent structure cannot be built on that?
Well, one of the persons that's interested in making the purchase, it was behind
That's the contract.
yes. Terry Craddock came in. Terry Craddock is interested in creating a rec center for down on Main Street. Terry wants to use the building that the mayor's wife used to have her consignment shop in, right down at the corner of Main and Green. A couple of things that Terry was interested in was some financial aid pulled out of the hotel motel tax fund. And the other thing was if we could adjust the utility rate while it's a recreational facility. Currently, he is at the commercial rate, which is substantially higher than the residential rate. I explained to Terry that should the council be interested in doing that, one thing that would obviously be mandated is that once that rec center was to fold, should it fold, then that building would go back to commercial rate. So I don't know if you gentlemen would be interested in either or of that. Keep in mind that as a financial aid, we've already had that discussion tonight, so you know that that fund's not doing real well. And I had sent an email to Joe and I hadn't gotten a response yet. So we're not even sure that the use of hotel motel for something of that nature is appropriate. If it's not appropriate, we may be able to do something out of a different fund, but I'm not certain on that right now either. So if you're warned of that, we'll work on that and get that back to you possibly at the next meeting as well. So that's what I have, gentlemen.
Would that be a not-for-profit center or church group or something? Or?
I guess that's some questions, and I don't know if he's here tonight.
Yes, he is. And no, it wouldn't be a not-for-profit. But by its nature, it isn't going to be profitable.
Right.
You know, at best, it's going to hold its own, and that's what we're after.
Is there going to be some social group managing it, a church group, or?
No, we don't. We want the churches involved, but not involved. The children that we're really going after is not going to listen to the church group. These are the kids that we need to give activities to that they haven't found yet. You know, it's not the solution, but it's part of a solution, if you can follow that one.
I think I can.
And I don't think I'd be opposed to seeing that come across our desk. Okay, very good. Any questions or discussion points on the city manager's report? Any non-agenda items or other business? We did have a presentation this evening with Mr. Carter. Thank you, sir, for that. And that is something that we have discussed in the past, is some sort of audit on our police department. I think we're at the stage right now where we need to give some direction to the city manager. First off, were there any questions to Mr. Carter?
What kind of dollar amount are we talking to do this?
That's up to you guys. I mean, I prefer not to have to drive here and pay for it myself, but I'm certainly not looking to get rich. So I would leave that up to you, whatever you think is fair. Because I'm just here to help you out. I'm not here to gouge you.
I think it'd be a good thing to do.
I agree.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't ready for no dollar amount.
You're ready to argue money already?
No, I wasn't ready. Surely needs to be some compensation.
I do believe so. I mean, if he's coming here, so.
I would recommend we direct the city manager to start working with him and to put something together. Put an agreement together.
Any questions whatsoever? Any more questions?
Yes, do we want to do just the audit? Do we want to work towards the accreditation?
If I may,
Yes.
if we do the audit, we'll know how close you are to accreditation and the steps you'd have to take at that point.
Can you, all right, our chief's not a member of the Illinois Chiefs of Police, right?
Correct.
So you could introduce him to those people? Okay.
I believe you have to be sponsored, so he could sponsor it.
Very good. So we take action on it.
Okay. Take action on that. If you could begin to start working with Mr. Carter. And how long does this process take?
It depends on how much we can get as quickly as we can. There's a lot of stuff, the sheet that I gave you, a lot of stuff that I need to look through. And then a lot of people that I'll be talking to, which would include all of you, everybody in the police department, and some individuals in town.
Okay. That's an action point then. Any other non-agenda items and other business?
Were we going to talk about this transfer coming through town?
Yes, by all means. I mean, it was brought up before we went into possession. So, sir, could you speak to that?
Yes, I was bringing it to your attention because there is an oversized load that is coming from Minnesota and it's going to the Argenta-Orienta area. It's a 200-ton transformer. And IDOT, because of construction, it has to leave I-74 out here at the 136 interchange. It's going to come down 150, and it's proposed to come down John Street, get back on Route 54, and then travel to the west. I've spoken to Joe about this a little bit. We don't have ordinances in place to necessarily stop this. We own the streets, so I've been trying to research through Illinois Department of Transportation, through Farnsworth Group, and through our legal on how can we stop this, or what type of, and even as Joe suggested, what dollar amount could we throw out there as a surety bond. Our mainline sewer runs down the middle of John. It's an old brick sewer. We have old cast iron water mains. We can't have this, our streets, our infrastructure tore up. As you know, if you watch the Weather Channel, the temperatures are supposed to be heat index up to around 110. And as that sun's beating down on John Street, as you bring this vehicle across, with 14 axles, that's an extra 20 ton per axle, according to Farnsworth Group. And gentlemen, it'll just roll that oil and chip up. So we're trying to come up with something to cover our butts and protect ourselves. IDOT in Springfield is not helping us very much. So
Surely that bridge on John Street is not ready for that.
it was inspected. The John Street Bridge was inspected. Bless their hearts, they came up from Springfield, did a quick inspection, they gave it its blessings. The box culvert over on the Country Club curve won't take the load. But fortunately, that bridge on John will, or unfortunately, however you want to look at it.
Is that because it's not their road then? I mean, isn't the highway their road?
Yeah, well,
rhetorical, but when is this supposed to happen?
we don't know yet. It's been setting at the Illinois-Iowa line. It's been pre-staged there now since last Thursday, and Farmer City seems to be the last link. So we've been working pretty hard on it to keep it out off our city streets, but it may happen. So
Who decides the route? IDOT?
Illinois Department of Transportation issued the travel permit, yes. When Farnsworth Group...
They want to come down John Street.
Yes, Kevin Hannell got a hold of a gentleman at the IDOT headquarters today, and they had basically no knowledge of the low trees, the low power lines, the narrow streets. No one had traveled down John Street, but they saw it on the map, and that's how it got picked up. So I'm not saying for sure, gentlemen, that this will happen, but it is a possibility. So.
Well, let them, what you probably are doing, let them know that I'm not in favor of it. That's a lot of weight. That's big time.
Big time.
Really tears up.
Any other non-agenda items and other business? Last week, Susan Wilson came in and gave a presentation, a recommendation to seek an outside organization to come in and help develop a strategic plan. I thought her presentation was wonderful, and that actually very positive for our community. Although I'm not ready to jump into some outside organization at this time, I do think it's something that we should continue further discussion with Susan. She gets more ideas and pursue that. So with the council's blessing, I'd like to give Larry an action point to reach out to Susan and even bring one of us involved as well to start the discussion on how we can work with the city to develop this plan. So any objections, if you could reach out to Susan. Very good. Any other non-agenda items?
Larry, tell us about that truck for the power plant, the pickup.
The pickup truck?
Yeah.
Went out and purchased a used 2500, which is a 3/4 ton pickup truck for the light plant. After the discussion about bucket trucks and that they were being used too much, and that a pickup truck would be better suited, then I went out, researched on the internet for a good used pickup truck, and we picked one up. It's 4-wheel drive, it's low mileage, And the guys are gonna put some boxes on it, so when they go change meters and stuff, the idea is they'll be using that instead of the bucket truck. So, actually got a good price for that truck, so it's only got like 67,000 miles. It's a 2008, 2007, so. And the thought also, gentlemen, with a big four-wheel drive, eventually we could put an additional snowplow on it, should we ever need that. So it is the only four-wheel drive pickup truck that the city owns, so.
And I asked Mark about the truck, and they hadn't further researched anymore. They were content as they sat too, so.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I asked Mark about the big truck, and as they sit now, they're content with what they've got. I mean, we know.
Bucket truck.
The bucket truck, we're gonna need something in the future, but.
What did the pickup truck set us back?
I believe it was 10.
It's a pretty good deal for an 08 four-wheel drive.
Yeah, it is.
It was a local truck. It came out of Eureka. So.
I would like to heard about it before now, but it's okay.
Thank you.
Any other non-agenda items?
I think Scott Kelly got some news today that the IDNR has granted the permit for his pavilion in South Park.
More projects.
Keeps you busy.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
When you're ready, call the roll.
Harden.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Testori.
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Motion carries.